incompetent president. And now I say it, and I'm saying the truth, because I had too much respect for the office of president, aware that its charges are bogus. Think of it, this was all bogus stuff. The prosecution has sought to proceed in secret, forcing the nation and the world to rely on biased second-hand accounts coming from the corrupt Biden administration and its media allies, people like that. You know, the funny thing, their numbers are way down, and they said they had the greatest numbers they've ever had during the Trump administration. If I were the media, now they're all going bankrupt. If I were the media, you know what I'd do? I'd hope that Trump wins, because during the Trump administration, that was the golden 4 years. Now I just saw where the New York Times is way down. They're all way down. Washington Post is way down. I don't even know. You know, at what point do you say you could be rich, but at what point, if you're going to lose $100 million a year for the privilege of having a newspaper that's losing that kind of money, you know, at what point do you say, I'm not going to do this anymore? But the Washington Post is way down. They're all down. And they were all up. During my 4 years, now they were up with fake stories like Russia, 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 you know, the Mueller, all the different hoaxes. We had plenty of them, but they were doing great. Now they're way down, and, you know, because they're not believed anymore. You know, that's the problem. When I started running, they had a very high approval rating, and I think it's one of the greatest things I've done. I've told people that they're corrupt and they're dishonest, and they have to straighten out their act, because people are not believing them. And when you don't have a free press, and when you don't believe your press, you've got yourself a very big problem in the country. But as a result, the citizens of our great country are unable to review for themselves the facts of this case and show. So it's so unfair. And I look at it, and when you think about, you got treated this way by your political opponent. So when you hear Trump is facing a lawsuit, remember, this is a Biden lawsuit. This was Biden. He took his top person from the Department of Justice and put him into the local New York, Manhattan DA's office, running it. You're not even allowed to do that. But they took the top person, as you know, I believe the name is Colangelo. They took the top person, they put him into the Manhattan DA's office, Colangelo, and this guy was in Washington, D.C., working for Garland, and now he's in this office, and even signing checks in the papers. This is a terrible thing that's happened. And I don't even know, I mean, to be honest, I don't even know if Biden knows. But the people in his office knows, like Lisa Monaco and other people, they know what's going on. You know, they're friends with some very bad people. But it's a very bad precedent, it's very dangerous. And again, such a thing has never happened in our country. I've made clear from the outset, the prosecution has repeatedly denied me my fundamental constitutional rights, including my right to have a trial. I want the trial. I announced last night, you probably saw it. They said, sir, do you want a trial with or without cameras? Now, most people would say without. I say the opposite. I want this trial to be seen by everybody in the world. The prosecution wishes to continue this travesty in darkness, and I want sunlight. That's a nice way of saying it. Isn't that pretty? I want sunlight. I want everything exposed to the public, including the election fraud, because this is all about election fraud, which took place in 2020 and the 2020 presidential election, so that such a thing can never happen again to our country. You know, we want paper ballots. We want same-day voting. That's what we want. And we don't want mail-in voting. And we want one-day voting. You know, these things that last for 48 days, and you see them wheeling things with wheelbarrows, dumping them, ballots. No, what we want is we want one-day voting, we want paper ballots, or we want voter ID. You know, they just did it in France. France had mail-in ballots. Look, mail-in ballots, you know, are going to be corrupt. Even Jimmy Carter had a commission. He said, if you have mail-in ballots, you're going to have massive corruption, and we don't want that. But every person in America is beyond and should have the opportunity to study this case firsthand. It's to be, oh, this will be very good for the networks. They should want it. But I can tell you the prosecutors don't want it and the judge doesn't want it, if you can believe it. And they watch, and if there's a trial, because I should not even have a trial, this should be thrown out long before, but if there's a trial, I want everybody to see all of the horrible things that took place, all of the horrible charges, and all of the things that were done with respect to a very corrupt election. And let's let the public decide, because I want cameras in every inch of that courthouse. We've asked the judge in Washington, D.C., we've asked her to be recused because she hates me. You know, is that a good reason? I think so, right? No, the judge truly, truly hates me. She is a Trump hater at the highest level, so we've asked for her recusal. She's denied it, and we're appealing that. And we'll definitely be asking for a venue change, D.C., especially in light of the fact that I want a federal government takeover of our capital so that we can fix our capital. It's dirty, it's filthy, it's crime-ridden. People are being murdered every day. It's incompetently run. And I want to do that, and certainly that would not be very popular with the jury of residents. They're not going to be thrilled. We have Deranged Jack Smith. Have you ever heard of him? He's a lovely man. Do you ever see him with the purple little thing? He's a lovely man. The Trump-hating prosecutor in the case, his wife and family despise me much more than he does, and he decides, I think he's about a 10. They're about a 15 on a scale of 10. And he was involved, you know, Jack Smith, the deranged one, I call him. He was involved, crooked guy. He was involved with the failed and very messy Lois Lerner IRS scandal. Did you know that? And the prosecution of Governor of Virginia, Bob McDonnell, which was overturned unanimously by the Supreme Court, as well as the failed prosecution of presidential candidate John Edwards. And he's charged. What he did is horrible, but they got him in. They brought him back from The Hague, and they said, go get Trump. It's a terrible thing that's happening in America. But, and he's a disgrace to America. They want to silence me because I know the truth, and I'm not afraid to say it. Their goal is intimidation of everybody at the highest level. But I really don't care. I don't care. I just want to do what's right for the country. I didn't need this. You know, when I did this, somebody said the other day, are you glad you did it? Because I had a hell of a life. I had the most beautiful life. I don't think I could do whatever I want, the best properties, the best resorts. I could have had the greatest time. Instead, I'm here on a Saturday afternoon with you, working my ass off.